Sometimes the best revenge isn't chaos, it's calm. That line, my friends, hits harder than most heartbreaks. Because the truth is, when someone hurts you, they don't just want to see you in pain, they want to watch it. They want to measure your reaction like a scientist studying control. And when you give them nothing, no reaction, no drama, no weakness, you flip their entire experiment upside down. They don't know what to do with peace. Hey, folks, imagine this. You're standing in the middle of a storm. The wind is screaming, the rain is wild, thunder is shaking the sky, and you just stand there, calm, unmoved. You don't run, you don't scream back, you just breathe. That's the look on their face when you stop reacting to their chaos. They expect lightning, but you become still water, and still water terrifies people who thrive in drama. See, they hurt you thinking you'd chase clarity, that you'd fall apart trying to make sense of it. They thought they'd control your emotions by confusing you, but what they don't understand is confusion only has power when you keep trying to understand it. The moment you step back, the moment you stop explaining, stop decoding, stop fixing, you start confusing them, because people who feed on attention starve in silence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best answer to anger is silence." But here's the twist. Silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's what turns you from predictable to powerful. Because let's be honest, most people expect you to lose control. They expect emotional fireworks. They expect you to become the show that entertains their ego. But when you take that stage away, when the lights go out, they're left clapping alone in the dark. My friends, the most confusing thing you can ever give someone who hurt you is peace, not revenge, not a speech, not a long message explaining your worth, just peace. Because peace is mysterious. It makes people question their own impact. They start wondering, wait, did I even matter? They replay every memory, every message, trying to decode your calm, and the more they analyze, the more they realize they lost control the moment you stopped performing. Here's the lie they made you believe, that you need to respond to prove your strength, that walking away quietly means you lost. But the truth is, silence isn't surrender. It's a power move. It's your soul saying, "I'm done arguing about my worth." You don't fight for attention when you finally remember you are the prize. And yes, I know it's hard. Your heart wants to speak. Your mind wants closure. But remember this. Every time you react, you write their victory story. Every time you stay calm, you edit it. So don't give them the drama they ordered. Give them confusion instead. That's the currency of peace. They can't buy it, can't fake it, can't control it. So here's what I want you to remember. When they hurt you, don't become bitter, become unpredictable. Don't chase them, confuse them. Don't explain, evolve. Let your silence do the talking, because at the end of the day, peace isn't the absence of pain. It's the presence of power. Write this down in the comments right now. My peace confuses them. Say it like you mean it. Because from this day on, you're not here to prove your worth. You're here to protect your energy. And if you're ready to take that power back, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what's coming next will change how you handle every person who ever underestimated your silence. Number 1. The moment you stop reacting, you become unreadable. The less you react to negativity, the more powerful you become. My friends, that line cuts deep, because most people build their entire identity around reaction. When they hurt you, they expect your emotions to become their entertainment. They wait for the texts, The calls, the explanations, the emotional fireworks that prove they still have control. But the second you stop reacting, the second you go quiet, you become something they can't categorize, and that terrifies them. Think of it like a magician who loses his audience. His tricks stop working because no one's clapping anymore. That's exactly what happens when you take your reaction away. You were their mirror. They used your emotions to feel important, to feel powerful. But once you stop reflecting their chaos, they start seeing themselves for who they really are, empty without your attention. They start asking themselves questions they never expected to ask. Why aren't they reacting? Did I lose them? Did I push too far? And those questions echo louder than any argument ever could, because silence doesn't confirm or deny anything. It leaves space for their imagination to haunt them. And the human mind, when left alone, always fills the silence with fear. At first, they might convince themselves you're just pretending. They'll think, oh, they'll break soon, they always do. But as time passes, your silence becomes heavier. It's no longer a reaction. It's a decision. A decision that says, I'm not playing your emotional game anymore. And that's when confusion turns into panic. You see, folks, they never prepared for your peace. They rehearsed arguments in their head, not indifference. They imagined your tears, not your silence. They expected a war, but you gave them stillness. And that stillness is like holding a mirror to their ego. It forces them to see their reflection without filters. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's what emotional control really is. It's not pretending you don't care. It's choosing to respond from power, not from pain. And yes, it's hard. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, because your instinct screams to speak, to defend, to prove your side of the story. But the moment you do, you hand them the script again. Let me break one of the biggest lies they made you believe. The lie that silence means weakness. No, my friends, silence means strategy. Weakness is reacting just to feel seen. Strength is realizing you don't owe anyone an explanation for your peace. When you learn to master that, you confuse every person who once thought they could control you emotionally. Imagine being a mountain during an earthquake. Everything shakes around you, but you stand firm. That's what Stoic strength looks like. People will try to provoke you, to pull you back into the drama, to make you question yourself. They'll throw words like knives, hoping to hit a nerve. But when you stay calm, when you refuse to bleed emotionally, you become unreadable, and unreadable means untouchable. They might say you've changed. And guess what? You have. You've changed from being controlled to being composed. You've changed from reacting out of fear to responding out of clarity. You've changed from chasing peace to becoming peace. They don't understand it, and that's exactly why it confuses them. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The Stoics believed that true power isn't found in controlling others. It's in mastering yourself. And once you master that, they lose every hold they ever had. Because you can't control a person who controls their reaction. But let's be honest, it won't feel easy at first. You'll have nights where you want to reach out, to say something, to break the silence, just to ease the pressure. That's your old conditioning trying to drag you back. You're not addicted to them. You're addicted to the emotional cycle, the highs, the lows, the drama. It gave your mind a sense of importance. But you're breaking that addiction now. You're rewiring your power. Every time you resist the urge to react, you're teaching your nervous system peace. Every time you pause before responding, you're training your mind to operate from strength, not impulse. That's not silence, it's transformation. And here's the truth they don't want you to know. When you stop reacting, they start doubting. Not you, themselves. Because your calm doesn't make sense to someone who's used to chaos. You'll see it in small ways. They'll post subtle things online. They'll test you with messages. They'll act like they don't care, but everything they do will scream confusion because they can't figure out how you went from emotional to unbothered, from desperate to detached, from chasing them to chasing peace. That's what real power looks like. You didn't destroy them, you destroyed their illusion of control, and once that illusion collapses, they'll either respect your silence or try harder to break it. Either way, you've already won, because you're no longer reacting. My friends, remember this. Calm is not weakness. It's the highest form of dominance. Anyone can yell, anyone can text paragraphs. But it takes a warrior's heart to smile, stay grounded, and say nothing when your ego wants to explode. That's how you take your power back. So tonight, when your mind starts to spiral, whisper this to yourself: I am not reacting. I am rising. Write it in the comments right now. I am rising in silence. Show the world that your peace is louder than their chaos. Show yourself that you're done dancing to the rhythm of someone else's confusion. Because this, my friends, is where they start losing sleep and where you start gaining power. Stay with me, because what's coming next will show you exactly how to make that silence echo in their mind until they can't escape the sound of losing you. Number 2. Shock their ego with stillness. Nothing disarms a manipulator faster than the calm of someone they can no longer control. My friends, that quote isn't just poetry, it's psychology. When someone hurts you, they expect you to lose composure. They expect you to lash out, to beg, to chase, to demand answers, because as long as you're emotional, you're predictable, and predictability is power for them. But when you meet their chaos with stillness, when you stay calm while they wait for your explosion, you don't just confuse them, you expose them. Think of it like this. Imagine a boxer swinging wild punches, expecting a fight, but his opponent just stands there, smiling, unbothered. Eventually, that boxer gets tired swinging at thin air. That's what happens to their ego when you stop engaging. Every argument they try to start dies in your silence. Every emotional trap they set falls apart when you refuse to step inside it. Stillness becomes your shield, and their confusion becomes your revenge. They might laugh at first. They'll tell themselves they're just pretending, they'll react soon. But days pass, weeks pass, and your silence doesn't fade. It grows heavier. Your peace becomes the loudest thing in the room. They scroll through your profile, expecting pain, but all they see is calm. No sad quotes, no bitter posts, no desperate hints, just stillness. That's when panic sets in, because now they start asking questions that have no answers. Why aren't they reacting? Did they move on? Did I mean nothing? Their mind starts spinning stories, each one worse than the last. And that's the funny thing about human psychology. The less information we have, the more we obsess. Stillness becomes your invisibility cloak. They can't see your emotions, so they fill in the blanks with their fears. Marcus Aurelius said, "You always own the option of having no opinion." And that's what your stillness teaches them, that not every action deserves a reaction. You're no longer giving them the satisfaction of knowing where they stand in your heart. You've taken away their mirror, and now they're left staring at their own reflection, unsure what they see. They'll start to provoke you. Maybe they'll post something meant to sting you. Maybe they'll try to make you jealous. Maybe they'll reach out casually, pretending they just want to check in. Don't fall for it, my friends. That's not connection. It's control in disguise. When they can't read your peace, they'll test it. But this time, your weapon isn't anger. It's indifference. Imagine the calm ocean after a storm. The waves used to crash. The wind used to scream. But now it's just still. That silence isn't weakness. It's nature's way of resetting power. You're doing the same thing. You're reclaiming balance after chaos. You're proving that your emotions belong to you, not to the person who tried to provoke them. And yes, it's difficult, because staying calm when you've been disrespected feels unnatural at first. Your ego wants revenge. Your pain wants validation. But every time you rise above that impulse, you're training your mind to operate at a higher frequency. You're telling yourself, I don't need to win this argument. I just need to win myself back. The lie they sold you was that loud emotions equal strength, but real strength is quiet. Real power doesn't need an audience. Stillness isn't silence, it's mastery. It's the art of knowing you could destroy them with words, but choosing not to. It's walking away without making a scene. It's smiling when they expect tears. That's not coldness. It's evolution. Epictetus said, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. Remember that the next time they try to bait you into reacting, the moment you lose your peace, they win the game. But the moment you choose stillness, the board flips, and they can't play anymore. Now, here's something you need to understand. Your stillness will bother them more than your words ever could, because it makes them question their impact. It makes them wonder if they ever mattered. And the mind can't stand unanswered questions. So they'll spiral, overthinking every memory, every message, every mistake. That's not manipulation, that's consequence. You didn't confuse them with tricks, you confused them by healing. But remember, my friends, stillness is not pretending. It's not bottling everything up and acting numb. It's transforming that pain into awareness. It's journaling instead of arguing. It's meditating instead of texting. It's building yourself in silence, so when they finally come back to check if you're broken, all they find is peace dressed like power. And here's the beauty of it. Stillness doesn't just confuse them, it heals you, because you're no longer living in emotional reaction mode. You're no longer performing for closure. You're no longer chasing chaos just to feel something. You're becoming someone who doesn't need external validation to know their value, and that, my friends, is what shakes their ego to its core. So when the urge to react hits, pause, take a deep breath, smile. Remind yourself, they expect fire, I'll give them air. Let them swing at the wind. Let them waste their energy guessing your feelings. Because while they're trying to decode your silence, you'll be busy leveling up. Write this in the comments right now. My calm shocks their ego. Show yourself. Show the world that you don't need to prove your strength through noise. You prove it through stillness. Because the moment you master calm under pressure, you stop being someone they can control and start being someone they can never forget. Stay with me, because what's coming next will show you exactly how silence becomes a mirror that exposes everything they tried to hide. Number 3. Silence is the ultimate psychological mirror. If you want to see someone's true reflection, take away their audience. My friends, that quote is more than just a clever line. It's truth. Because silence, real silence, is a mirror, and not everyone likes what they see when they finally face it. See, when they hurt you, they weren't afraid of your words. They were afraid of your quiet. Because words can be debated, twisted, or ignored. But silence, Silence traps them in their own head. It forces them to sit alone with their conscience, and that's a conversation they've been running from their entire life. Imagine this. You walk into a room filled with noise, music, chatter, laughter, and suddenly everything stops. The silence is so thick you can hear your heartbeat, that discomfort you feel in that moment. That's what's happening inside their mind when you go silent. You've taken away the distraction, and now they're left with themselves. The guilt, the doubt, the realization of what they lost. At first, they'll pretend it doesn't bother them. They'll act like your silence is irrelevant. They'll even tell themselves you're just being dramatic. But here's what they won't admit. Silence is haunting. It sneaks up on them when they least expect it. When they're alone at night, scrolling through old conversations, or when a song plays that once reminded them of you. Silence echoes louder than any confrontation ever could. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you go silent, you stop feeding them your energy, and without your energy to distract them, their mind starts coloring itself with guilt, regret, and questions. Questions like, were they really that strong? Did I push them too far? Why aren't they reacting? And those questions start burning holes in their pride. People who rely on control can't survive in silence, because silence removes the map. They can't navigate without your emotional responses. Your silence takes away the validation that once fed their ego. Every time you explained yourself, every time you defended your heart, you were handing them a piece of your peace. Now they're starving for it, and that hunger, oh, it hurts more than rejection ever did. But let's be honest, folks, silence is not easy. It's uncomfortable. It feels unnatural when your heart is full of words you'll never say. When every part of you wants to scream, "You hurt me." But real power isn't in screaming louder, it's in smiling quieter, it's in realizing that not every battle needs your voice. Some are won by walking away and letting silence do the talking. Think about it. When someone wrongs you and you stay silent, you're not pretending nothing happened. You're letting the truth echo without interruption. You're letting karma use your quiet as a stage. They'll keep checking your energy, waiting for a reaction, trying to provoke you back into their game. But when they get nothing, no emotion, no validation, no explanation, it unsettles them. It makes them question if they ever had power at all. And that's the beauty of silence. It reflects back everything they tried to project onto you, their manipulation, their guilt, their lies. It all bounces back like light hitting a mirror. They wanted you to chase, but now they're the ones pacing. They wanted you to cry, but now they're the ones losing sleep. Because silence has a way of flipping the story without saying a word. Epictetus once said, "When another blames you or hates you, or people voice similar criticisms, go to their souls, penetrate inside, and see what sort of people they are. You will realize that there is no need to be racked with anxiety, that they should hold any particular opinion about you." That's exactly what your silence does. It reminds you that their opinion doesn't define your peace. You're no longer explaining yourself to people who only listened to reply. You're no longer proving your worth to those who benefited from your pain. They'll call your silence arrogance. They'll label your peace as coldness. Let them. Because what they're really reacting to is loss of control. They can't manipulate what they can't read. And when they can't predict your emotions, they start to feel small. They'll post indirect quotes, try to make you jealous, maybe even guilt-trip you. But deep down, every act of provocation is a cry for reaction. And every time you don't respond, you make them face themselves a little more. It's like looking into a cracked mirror. They see the version of themselves they tried to hide, the one that knows they messed up, the one that realizes your silence isn't a tantrum, it's transformation. You've outgrown the version of yourself that begged for clarity. You've become the version that creates peace through distance. But hear me clearly. Your silence isn't punishment, it's preservation. You're not withholding words to hurt them. You're protecting your energy from someone who mishandled it. Silence isn't about pride, it's about boundaries. It's saying, I'm no longer going to explain my value to those who refused to see it when it was freely given. And that, my friends, is what breaks them the most. Because they can't fix what they can't reach. They can't apologize to a wall of peace. They can't manipulate someone who stopped playing. Your silence teaches them something no lecture ever could, that you don't chase what disturbs your peace. So when your mind tempts you to reach out, remember, silence is your mirror. It's not reflecting weakness, it's reflecting growth. Every second you stay quiet, you're showing them that their noise no longer controls your calm. And when the day comes that they realize you're truly gone, your silence will speak volumes they'll never forget. Write this in the comments right now. My silence is my mirror. Show the world that you're done explaining pain to people who caused it. Show them that your quiet isn't confusion, it's clarity. Because when you finally learn to sit in silence, you'll watch them start to crumble under the weight of their own reflection. Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll go deeper into how emotional detachment doesn't just protect your peace. It reprograms their entire perception of who you are. Number 4. Detach emotionally, but observe everything. To understand the game, you must stop playing it. My friends, that quote might sting a little, but it's the truth. You can't win the emotional game if you're still a piece on their board. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop participating in the drama that feeds their ego. You start observing instead of reacting. You start studying the patterns instead of getting trapped in them. And that quiet shift, when your energy goes from emotional to analytical, changes everything. Picture this. You're sitting in a theater, watching a movie you've seen 100 times. You already know the ending. You know which characters are fake, which ones pretend to be kind but stab from the shadows. Now imagine, instead of being inside the movie, you're just sitting in the back row, watching. That's what emotional detachment feels like. The scenes keep playing, but you don't play your old role anymore. You're just observing, and in that observation, you find peace. They, on the other hand, expect your reactions. They depend on your energy. When you detach, you take away the oxygen that keeps their chaos alive. They'll throw little emotional traps your way, old memories, sudden messages, nostalgic songs. But your stillness becomes the wall their manipulation bounces off. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless, it's about mastering your response. You don't stop feeling, you start choosing when to feel and why. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's what detachment is. It's not pretending nothing affects you. It's reminding yourself that you decide what gets to stay in your heart. You're no longer letting temporary emotions make permanent decisions. You're learning to pause between feeling and reacting. That pause, my friends, is where your power lives. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not easy. You'll feel the pull. You'll see their name pop up and your heart will skip. You'll catch yourself wanting to check their page, their stories, their energy. That's natural. You spent so long being emotionally invested that your nervous system is addicted to the highs and lows. Detachment feels like withdrawal at first. It's supposed to. But every time you resist the urge to react, you're breaking the chains they never thought you'd escape. They will sense the change. They'll notice your calm. They'll feel the distance, even through silence. That's when the panic starts. Because now they're no longer sure what version of you they're dealing with. The one who cried. Gone. The one who begged. Dead. The one who over-explained. Buried. What's left is someone who observes. Someone who doesn't need to argue to prove they're right. Someone who isn't controlled by external chaos anymore. They'll test you. They'll say things just to see if you'll react. They'll do small things that used to provoke you, ignore your messages, mention other people, act mysterious, flaunt their indifference. But this time, you don't chase, you don't question, you don't explain. You simply watch, you study, you notice patterns, and the best part, you stop taking their behavior personally because you finally see it for what it is. Not love, not loss, just patterns repeating until you refuse to play along. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Detachment is the art of responding with wisdom instead of emotion. When you detach, you stop living from impulse. You start living from intention. You can look at their behavior like a scientist looking at data. No emotional bias, no overthinking, just clarity, and that clarity is what terrifies them. Because once you see through someone's manipulation, their power over you vanishes. Think of it like chess. They've been making moves based on your predictable reactions. They know which buttons to press, which words to say, which silences hurt you most. But when you detach emotionally, their moves stop working. They're playing an old game, but you've changed the rules. You're not reacting anymore. You're strategizing, and they can't compete with someone who's no longer emotionally invested in the outcome. And yes, they'll call you cold. They'll say you've changed. They'll accuse you of not caring. Let them, because they're not used to you being grounded. They're used to chaos, and you're giving them calm. They're used to control, and you're giving them clarity. They're used to you being predictable, and you're giving them mystery. Remember, detachment isn't distance. It's discipline. It's knowing when to engage and when to step back. It's knowing your energy is sacred, not a free buffet for emotional parasites. Now here's the deeper truth. They'll confuse your detachment with indifference, but it's not the same. Indifference is numbness. Detachment is awareness. You still feel, but you don't feed. You still care, but you don't cling. You still see, but you don't suffer. You're watching them, not out of love or hate, but out of understanding. You're learning what drained you, so you never let it happen again. And one day, they'll look at you and realize something that will haunt them. You didn't stop caring. You just stopped allowing their chaos to dictate your peace. That's when they'll start to crumble, because people who survive on control can't function when you become unpredictable. You've turned their favorite game into a mirror of their own emptiness. So the next time they try to provoke a reaction, just breathe. Don't match their chaos. Observe it like you would a thunderstorm from behind glass. Loud, dramatic, but powerless to touch you. Let them perform. Let them talk. Let them assume. You're no longer the player. You're the observer. Write this in the comments right now. I observe. I don't absorb. Show yourself that your energy is too valuable to waste on emotional games. Show them that you've mastered what they never could, self-control. Because once you learn to detach with peace, you no longer chase closure, you become it. Stay with me, my friends, because what comes next will show you how to respond with calm so powerfully that even your silence starts to speak louder than their words. Number 5. Respond with unpredictable calm. Never let them know which version of you they're dealing with, the one who cares or the one who's already gone. My friends, that line hits harder than most heartbreaks because it speaks to power, the power of emotional unpredictability. You see, they once memorized your reactions. They knew what words triggered you, what silence broke you, and what tone made you melt. They studied your emotions like a map, thinking they could control the destination. But when you respond with calm instead of chaos, when you choose silence over reaction, you burn that map completely. Now they're lost, and you're free. Think about it like this. Imagine they're standing on a stage, waiting for their cue. They say the same lines they've said before, expecting the same response, but this time you don't deliver your part. You sit in the audience, arms crossed, expression unreadable. The scene falls apart, the performance dies, and that's exactly what happens when you respond with calm. They lose their script. See, calm is confusing to the ego. They expect noise. They expect you to explain, to argue, to match their intensity. But when you give them serenity, when your tone doesn't rise to meet their chaos, their control shatters because they were never prepared for peace. Peace is unpredictable to people who thrive on drama. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That's Stoic discipline. It's the ability to choose your reaction carefully instead of emotionally. Most people don't have that power. They explode, then regret it later. But not you. You're learning to respond from awareness, not impulse. You're teaching yourself that not every message needs an answer, not every insult needs defense, and not every loss needs closure. Sometimes your calm reply, or no reply at all, is the sharpest response in the world. But let's be honest, it's not easy. Calm is the hardest emotion to hold when your mind is burning. Your instincts will whisper, "Say something, make them understand." But that's the trap. The moment you try to make them understand, you re-enter their game. And they know it. They know how to push you just enough to get a reaction. That's why calm confuses them. It tells them they no longer have access to the part of you that used to beg for validation. Imagine their confusion when you reply to their petty comments with grace, when you respond to provocation with, "I understand," when you look them in the eyes and say, "That's your opinion," and move on. That's not passive. That's power in disguise. Because calm doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've matured past the point of needing to win. You don't argue to prove them wrong anymore. You let their behavior prove it for you. And you'll notice it. The moment you stop being reactive, their tactics start falling flat. They'll try to bait you, to drag you back into emotional war. They'll twist your silence into guilt. They'll play nice, then switch back to cold. It's like watching a storm run out of lightning, because when your reaction disappears, their power source dies with it. Your calm becomes their confusion, and your stillness becomes their frustration. People expect your energy to match theirs. When someone yells, they expect you to yell back. When they ignore you, they expect you to chase. When they insult you, they expect you to defend. But when you break that rhythm, when you don't dance to their tune, it leaves them off balance, and that imbalance starts gnawing at their pride. Because they can't read you anymore. and the human ego hates not knowing where it stands. There's a saying I love. Sometimes silence is the loudest scream. That's exactly what your calm does. It screams self-respect. It screams growth. It screams, I've evolved past this chaos. And the more you stay grounded, the more their power dissolves. They'll wonder if you ever cared, if you've moved on, or if you're pretending. But the truth doesn't matter anymore, because your calm already delivered the message. Let's break one of the biggest lies they made you believe, that the louder person wins. False. The calmer person does. Calm doesn't mean weak, it means dangerous, because someone who can stay centered while everything around them burns is someone you can't manipulate. Your calm says, I've already accepted what I can't control. And that realization, that's where real dominance begins. But remember this, my friends, calm is not an act. It's not pretending to be unbothered while secretly falling apart. Real calm comes from self-awareness. It's knowing that their behavior says everything about them and nothing about you. It's the deep understanding that peace is not a reaction. It's a decision. There will be moments when you'll want to break that calm. You'll want to defend your name, explain your silence, prove your side. But pause, ask yourself, what does it cost me to react? Every reaction is an emotional expense. Every unnecessary word drains your peace account. Save your energy. Spend it on healing, not explaining. And the irony, the calmer you become, the more chaotic they'll act. They'll throw tantrums, act out, try to poke the old version of you back to life, but don't take the bait. The storm only wins if you step into it. Watch them spin. Watch them guess. Watch them lose control trying to control you. Because when you respond with unpredictable calm, you turn their manipulation into a mirror, and they finally see themselves for what they are. Seneca once said, He who angers you conquers you. So don't let them conquer you with their drama. Let them drown in the silence they once mocked. Your calm is not weakness, it's emotional judo. You're using their force against them. You're letting their need for control destroy their illusion of it. So, next time they test your peace, do this. Take a deep breath, lower your voice, and smile. Nothing confuses a manipulator more than kindness they didn't earn. They'll question it, analyze it, fear it, because peace, to them, feels like punishment. Write this in the comments right now. My calm is my weapon. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that emotional control is your new language. You don't shout to prove strength anymore. You whisper peace and let confusion do the rest. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going even deeper into how your quiet growth becomes the loudest message they'll ever hear, one that echoes long after you've stopped speaking. Number 6. Let your growth speak louder than your pain. The best apology is your evolution. My friends, that's not just a quote, it's a revelation, because nothing confuses, humbles, and silences those who hurt you more than seeing you rise. They expected your silence to mean suffering, your distance to mean defeat. They thought you'd vanish in sadness, not transform in strength, but when your silence turns into growth, real, visible, unstoppable growth, it breaks them in ways words never could. Think about it. They hurt you expecting to leave a scar, but instead you turned that scar into armor. Every tear became a seed. Every disappointment became discipline. Every rejection became redirection. They thought they were burying you, but you were just planting yourself deeper, and now you're growing in directions they'll never reach. That's the beauty of transformation. It's confusing to those who only understand control. Picture this, my friends. Imagine someone walking away from you thinking they just dimmed your light. Months later, they scroll and see that same light shining brighter than ever, not because you tried to prove a point, but because peace looks good on you. That's when it hits them. You didn't lose them. They lost access to the version of you that was willing to shrink just to fit into their smallness. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In your case, stop arguing about who deserves your love. Just become love. Stop explaining your worth. Start embodying it. Because growth is the one response that doesn't need an explanation. It speaks in results. Every time you focus on your self-improvement instead of revenge, you win twice. Once in peace and again in power. But let's be honest, it's not easy at first. When you're healing, your mind still whispers their name. Your heart still replays the old story, but that's okay. Growth isn't loud or perfect. It's slow, it's messy, it's lonely at times. You'll miss the person they pretended to be. You'll crave closure that never comes, but you'll wake up one day and realize you no longer want their apology. You just want your energy back, and that's when you know you're healing for real. They'll notice it too. They'll see it in your silence that doesn't ache anymore. They'll feel it in your calm that no longer seeks attention. They'll see it in your confidence that isn't built on validation. And it'll confuse them, because in their story you were supposed to stay broken, but in your story you used the break to rebuild. Let me tell you the truth. Your glow-up doesn't start when you post about it. It starts the moment you stop obsessing over how they see you. It starts when you wake up early, when you move your body, when you read something that expands your mind instead of scrolling something that shrinks it. It starts when you stop stalking their life and start building your own. That's the moment you quietly take back your power. Epictetus once said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That's the mindset of growth. You don't become stronger by waiting for time to heal you. You become stronger by deciding what the next version of you will look like and showing up for that version every single day. Because here's the truth, they may have taken your peace for a while, but they'll never understand the version of you that came out of that fire, the one who doesn't chase, doesn't explain, doesn't perform for attention anymore. You've become silent, strategic, steady. You've turned pain into perspective, heartbreak into higher standards, and while they're busy trying to figure out why you haven't reached out, you're busy outgrowing the need too. That's what confuses them most. You didn't fight for closure. You created it. You didn't demand love. You became it. You didn't ask for change. You embodied it. You stopped needing to be seen because you finally started seeing yourself. And my friends, that's the kind of peace that can't be faked, copied, or taken away. The lie they fed you was that you'd never recover without them. But look at you now, living proof that silence heals louder than words ever could. You're walking proof that growth makes the best noise. You don't even have to say, "I'm doing better." Your energy says it for you. Every move you make in silence is a message that says, "I'm not coming back. I'm coming forward." Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." You, my friend, are the gem. The friction you faced was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to refine you, and now you shine in a way that blinds the very people who tried to dim you. So don't post to prove. Don't act to impress. Just live in a way that your peace becomes the headline, because nothing haunts a guilty heart more than seeing the person they broke become untouchable. Your silence was the seed. Your growth is the bloom. And if you're in the middle of that healing journey right now, if it feels slow, lonely, or uncertain, trust me, you're not going backwards, you're transforming. Every step, every tear, every quiet night is shaping the version of you that will make the old one proud. They won't recognize you, but that's the point. So write this down in the comments right now. My growth speaks louder than my pain. Say it with power. Say it with pride, because your growth is your revenge, your peace is your victory, and your silence, it's the message they'll never forget. If this message spoke to you today, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more, and share it with someone who needs to be reminded that pain is temporary, but power, peace, and purpose are forever. Stay strong, my friends. Stay grounded. And remember, don't announce your comeback. Let your growth make the noise.